What is your most strongly held political opinion? Politicians should be public servants, not corporate pawns. Companies should be allowed to fund political matters. How can we feel like an equal democracy if we only have two parties consistently represented? That we should vote for policies, not people. Your political affiliation shouldn't be your entire personality. Government and church should be separated. People should be able to afford food, water, and shelter with one full-time job. The two-party system needs to end. Having only two options is the illusion of choice. Civil rights for all. Equal justice for all. Humans should not have to choose between pain, death, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. The more power is distributed, the better off we are. Removed. The dual-party system is upheld by hate. Political parties were and still are a terrible idea. There's a damn good reason George Washington didn't want them. Ranked choice voting should be the standard for democracy. No poor kids should be hungry. My dog is the best dog. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Transform and roll out. Ranked choice voting is the first step towards a more perfect union. There should be no career politicians. That people are people and should be treated like people. Voting day should be a national holiday. Once every 4 years doesn't seem like too much to ask for. Bring back bottom-up government as it was intended. Now we have top-down, and the agencies that were there to protect the people with checks and balances are now captured agencies and sock puppets. Government is now just an arm of big business and the private central banks that fund them. Discrimination is shit. Corporations should not be considered a person, reaping the benefits of a real person. They should not be able to contribute to political campaigns as a person. Citizens United needs to be repealed. Big business is now running this country into the ground because they hold the purse strings. Democracy is not perfect, but still the best there is. Deleted. From the US, I don't want to just be able to vote Democrat or Republican. I want real choice where every party has equal opportunity. Social media is terrible for society. At this point, we need term limits. Corporations should not have direct influence over politicians. The will of the voter should be the main driving factor for those in office. 8-year term limits. For all politicians. Period. No exceptions. I want my gay married neighbors to protect their marijuana plants with whatever guns they want. Anyone who thinks all their party's decisions are good and all the other party's decisions are bad should not talk about politics. The concept of thought crime must never be acceptable. Separate religion from politics. The two-party system is an illusion of choice. Behind the scenes, the top people in charge of both parties are partying together and enjoying their wealth while we're down here arguing which turd sandwich is better. Congressmen and women and their families shouldn't be allowed to actively trade in the stock market. So they can't get rich off decisions meant to better the people. Religion should stay away from political laws of every kind. It will just muddle shit up. People are more important than profits. Capitalism isn't necessarily a bad set of game rules, but it needs some heavy regulation to keep the greedy psychopaths in check. The Constitution created a system of checks and balance which used to work. It's been totally eliminated. This makes me angry and scared. Voting strictly on party lines impedes our progress as a society. Since parties frequently take opposite positions on major issues, individual initiatives with high public support, i.e., legalization, decriminalization of weed in the U.S., are less likely to be passed. Trump and the 45 cult are going to be the destruction of the Constitution. That vacation time, PTO, should be a guaranteed right for all workers. I would make it 3 weeks guaranteed by law for all full-time workers. Sadly, neither party seems interested in this. Gerrymandering spits in the face of democracy and everything that makes it great. Any politician who uses or endorses its use is a piece of shit who doesn't actually care about the will of the people. The average salary should be enough to afford the average house. Cats are responsible for the immigration crisis in majority white countries. Term limits on all political offices from the ground up and pay should be based off AVG. Income of the state or county they represent. Term limits for Supreme Court justices. No more lifetime appointments. Term limits on Congress and justices. That people trying to overturn elections through fraud, corruption, and mob violence are the greatest threat we face. I think it's time to do a full reset of the whole U.S. government. Implement more checks and balances for both government agency, corporations, as well as political figures. The issue we had 200 years ago aren't the same now, and I think we need to talk about that. Most of the laws on the books are no longer relevant and should be removed. Politicians are dicks that don't care about the country and will always put their own interests before anything else. Politicians are cunts. Bodily autonomy is the most important human right. Without it, all other rights fall apart. Nobody should vote for a color or for a political party. Vote for the candidate. Freedom of speech. I don't have to like what you say, but it's your right to say it. I think we should care about other people. Free speech is the most important quality of a free society and it should not be infringed. Healthcare should never be tied to employment. That all politicians lie and fabricate to make the other party look bad. American politics are dumb and backwards at least 20 years from Europe. Anti-intellectualism is the biggest threat to democracy, and indeed, progress. Politicians should be paid minimum wage. Universal health care shouldn't be a partisan issue. If I am paying taxes to my government, they should in turn do what they can to give me a decent quality of life and invest more in health care, infrastructure, and communities. Not whatever the flock we got going on over here in the grand US of A. Communism sucks. Men's mental health, loneliness needs to be prioritized and met with legitimate empathy, if you don't want a surge of Andrew Tate fans and incels. Science is real. That the Second Amendment shouldn't be a political issue. We all have the fundamental right to self-defense. That America has lost the class war. No politics in religion and no religion in politics. If you want the two so closely melded, then tax all churches. Fuck the government. Lobbyists are performing professional bribery. Outlaw it. If we want to see change, stop electing old men. The universe doesn't care a damn about any of us. It owes us nothing. No one over the age of 75 should be allowed in the government. Uncap the House. Universal health care in general, but more so insurance for any emergency visit to a hospital. Bottom line is that I don't want to be in debt by a fate car accident. Healthcare should be free for all. Climate change is our current biggest threat and is likely going to cause our economy to crash in the next 15 years. Tax the rich. Freedom of religion starts with freedom from religion. Stay the flock away from my freedoms.